There's a version of you that you keep meaning to become. The one who exercises, eats a little better, reads at night instead of scrolling. You can picture them clearly. You just can't seem to become them. You've tried. A strong start, a few good days, and then life happens and you slide back. And each time it fizzles, the story hardens a little. Maybe some people are just born with discipline, and maybe you're not one of them. I want to take that story away from you, gently, but completely, because it isn't true. And it's quietly costing you the thing you actually want. Becoming that person was never about being born with more willpower than anyone else. It was about a blueprint. Every habit you have, the good ones, the bad ones, is built from the same 3 simple parts. And once you can see these parts, you stop being someone habits happen to and become someone who builds them. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you that blueprint. The same one that you can use to install almost any habit you choose. Here's the whole machine. A cue, something that starts it. A routine, the thing you do, and the reward, the payoff that tells your brain that was worth it. Do it again. Cue, routine, reward. Running in a circle, that's a habit. Every one of them, the midnight snack, the morning run, are built in exactly the same way. And here's the first thing that should make you feel powerful. Your brain doesn't judge the loop. It isn't holding out for good behavior. It will automate whatever loop you feed it, just as eagerly. Which means the very machinery that built every bad habit you've got is sitting right there, ready to build a good one for free. And the engine that drives the whole thing is the reward. The brain chases what feels good and repeats whatever led there. So if you get to choose the reward, if you can make a good habit end in something that your brain actually wants, you can point that engine wherever you like. That isn't willpower, that's design. And we can watch the brain do this live. Researchers led by a neuroscientist named Ann Graybiel put rats in a simple maze with a reward at the end and recorded the deep, old part of the brain where habits are built. The first runs, the brain lights up the whole way through. Every turn is work. Every step is a decision. It's effortful and slow and a little exhausting. Hold on to that feeling because you already know it. It's exactly how the first week of any new habit feels. The run that drags, the workout you have to argue yourself into. That heaviness is not a sign you're failing. It's the sound of your brain still learning the maze. But watch what repetition does. The brain activity collapses. It fires at the start, goes quiet through the middle, and fires again at the end. The whole routine gets packaged into a single automatic unit, chunked, and handed back to you to run without thinking. That's the promise hidden inside the hard part. The stretch that feels impossible right now is the exact part your brain is trying to take off your hands. Push through the effortful weeks, and it doesn't stay effortful. It becomes something you do without deciding. The way you already brush your teeth or drive a familiar road, the difficulty has an expiration date. Most people just quit before they reach it. Now you've probably been told the thing that gets you through those hard weeks is willpower, and that you just don't have enough of it. The idea came from a famous study. People made to resist a plate of warm cookies gave up sooner on a hard puzzle afterwards. Willpower, it concluded, is a tank and it runs dry. Except when more than 20 labs and around 2,000 people tested that carefully, the effect all but vanished. The tank was mostly a myth. Researchers still debate smaller versions, but the big fuel tank you were told to blame was never really there. And for you, that is wonderful news. Because if building habits never really ran on a fuel of raw discipline, then it was never reserved for people who seem to have it. It was always a skill of design, and a design is something anyone can learn. There's one more thing that you were told that made you give up too early. 21 days. You've heard it 100 times. It's a myth. It came from a surgeon in the 1960s watching patients get used to a new face. It was never a study about habits at all. When researchers followed real people building real habits, the average time to automatic was closer to 66 days. Some as quick as 18, some still climbing past 200. And missing a day didn't reset the count. So every time you failed at 3 weeks, you didn't fail. You walked off the road a few miles before it gets easy. The people who seem to have discipline mostly just stayed on it a little longer. So let's actually build one. 3 parts. You get to choose all 3. This is the whole method, and it's simpler than anyone made it sound. First, the cue. Don't leave the new habit floating, hoping you'll remember. You won't. Tie it to something already unshakable in your day. After a pour of morning coffee, I put on running shoes. When my feet hit the door, I drink the glass of water already waiting there. And this small move isn't just an idea. It's one of the most reliable findings in behavior science. Deciding in advance exactly when and where you'll act, a simple when this, then that plan, has been shown across dozens of studies to roughly double the odds you actually follow through. You're not trying harder, you're removing the moment of hesitation, the exact place good intentions usually die. Second, the routine. And here's where most people trip. Start almost embarrassingly small. Not an hour at the gym, a 5-minute walk. Not a chapter, a page. The brain accepts small, and a tiny loop that actually runs beats a heroic one that collapses by Thursday. You can always grow it after the loop is real. And third, the part that makes it stick, end it with a reward you'll genuinely feel. A check mark you let yourself enjoy, a wave of pride, a good song saved for the walk. And then there's the key. Savor it on purpose, right after, because that little hit of satisfaction is what teaches your brain to crave the routine next time. Do that enough, and one day the cue arrives and you want to go. That craving is the loop learning to finish itself. And once you build a loop, you can quietly outbuild a bad one too. You hand its same cue and same reward a better routine to run in the middle. But notice that's almost a footnote now, because the real power was never in breaking the old thing, it's in building the new one. And you don't have to build 100 of these to change your life. Here's the part that turns one small habit into something much bigger. Some habits are what researchers call Keystone habits. Build one and it quietly pulls the others up with it. Exercise is the classic one. People start moving, and without ever deciding to, they often begin eating a little better, sleeping deeper, snapping less at the people they love. One loop, built well, becomes a current that carries the rest. It won't ripple the same for everyone, but for a lot of people, that spread is real. So look back at that version of you, the one you keep meaning to become. They were never standing on the other side of some discipline you weren't born with. They're standing on the other side of a few good loops, built one cue, one routine, one reward at a time. You are not at the mercy of your habits. You are the one who gets to build them. That isn't a slogan. It's just how the machine actually works. The blueprint is simple. The science is on your side. And the only rare ingredient was ever knowing it was yours to pick up. So here's what you get to keep. Not the tired old story that you're not one of the disciplined ones, but the quiet, steady power of knowing you were never stuck. You've had the blueprint all along, and you can build almost anyone you decide to become. Take the feeling with you.